welcome as the evening settles into a restful quiet, and the world outside gradually softens into twilight. As the opening card gently fades away into a soothing darkness, allow yourself to sink into complete stillness, leaving behind the busy demands and noise of the daytime hours. With every breath, feel your mind unwind into complete ease. Imagine stepping quietly across the threshold of time, wandering back into the soft, dimly lit halls of early 18th century England. Here, far removed from the loud reception rooms, formal courtly gatherings, and political intrigue, the midnight hour brings a profound and comforting silence. Heavy silk and velvet drapes are drawn tight against the cool night air, shielding the inner sanctums of the house from the rustling trees outside. In these peaceful rooms, where the only audible sound is the slow, rhythmic ticking of a tall grandfather clock, a very different kind of history was recorded, not through grand public decrees, but through the gentle, steady movement of a quill dipping into dark ink. In the quiet seclusion of country manors and sprawling royal residences, women who spent their days navigating the structured expectations of courtly life found their true solace in the silent hours before sleep. It was during these tranquil, undisturbed moments that their innermost thoughts, subtle observations, and private reflections were carefully committed to paper. Between 1700 and 1716, early Georgian court matriarch Lady Sarah Cowper filled 7 dense manuscript volumes bound in dark vellum at Panshanger, writing alone in her bedchamber late at night, by dying candlelight to record over 2,000 pages of private reflections. Within those shadowed quarters, as the small flame flickered low against the tallow and brass, the rhythmic sound of her pen gliding across thick rag paper created a soothing, almost hypnotic lullaby. Her entries captured the nuanced essence of an era through a lens of introspective calm, documenting family matters, spiritual meditations, and the quiet, steady passage of time away from the public eye. The dark vellum bindings held those sacred pages securely, preserving years of midnight quietude within their sturdy covers. As you settle deeper into rest, picture those thick, leather-bound volumes resting peacefully on a polished mahogany writing desk, their edges smoothed by decades of gentle handling. Soft shadows dance gently across the room as the night deepens outside. The air carries a soft, nostalgic fragrance of beeswax, aged paper, and lavender blossoms gathered from the estate gardens during the warmer months. There is no hurry within these handwritten lines, no dramatic conflict demanding resolution, only the slow, comforting rhythm of a life observed with patience and quiet dignity. The private journals of these Georgian women remain as timeless guardians of serenity, reminding us that across centuries, individuals have always sought a quiet refuge at the close of day to gather their thoughts and rest their minds. Let the memory of those warm, flickering candles and tranquil bedchambers wrap around you now like a soft blanket of peace. The ink has dried, the quill is laid to rest, and the entire house is cradled in an unbroken, restorative quiet. Rest deeply now as we begin our journey into these peaceful, hidden pages. As midnight settles over the grand stone palaces and quiet residential squares of 18th century London, the bustling echoes of state dinners, whispered political intrigues, and formal dances gradually dissolve into a deep, serene stillness. Inside the private sanctuaries of courtly residences, far removed from the watchful eyes of monarchs and courtiers, the women who moved through the corridors of royal power finally find time to breathe in the quiet night air. For those who served at court, the day was spent in constant movement, attending to intricate ceremonies, carrying out exacting royal protocols, and maintaining a composed, immaculate exterior amidst the delicate machinery of royal governance. Yet, when the heavy velvet drapes were drawn against the damp city fog, and the palace halls fell dormant, a quiet sanctuary opened up within the solitude of their personal bedchambers. Here, in the soft pause between dusk and dawn, ink met paper to capture the truth of a world governed by subtle glances and unwritten rules. In these peaceful hours, private journals served not as public manifestos, but as intimate companions where real observations could be gently gathered, weighed, and set down without fear or pretense. Within the peaceful solitude of her London residence, Mary Hervey found comfort in documenting the world she had observed so closely during her time at court. Between 1720 and 1730, former maid of honor Mary Hervey recorded private reflections on early Georgian court life inside slim vellum-bound notebooks, writing late at night by the soft flicker of beeswax candles in her London sitting room. The gentle warmth of the candlelight cast long, soft shadows across her mahogany desk as the tip of her quill traced line after line across the smooth vellum pages. Her entries did not seek to alter history with grand declarations. Instead, they recorded the quiet human rhythms behind royal routine, the subtle shifts in social favor, the silent weariness behind formal smiles, and the simple beauty of daily companionship. As the beeswax candles burned down slowly, filling the air with a subtle, honeyed fragrance, her thoughts flowed with an unhurried and graceful cadence. Writing in those peaceful hours allowed her to process the complex tapestry of her experiences, preserving the fleeting moments of palace life within a permanent, quiet sanctuary. Other women took equal care to safeguard their private memories from the unpredictable winds of royal politics and public curiosity. In 1722, Lady of the Bedchamber Mary, Countess Cowper, sat alone by her bedroom fireplace at night to gently burn several years of her private court diaries, preserving only a single slim volume bound in soft calfskin for posterity. The golden embers of the hearth illuminated the quiet chamber as handwritten pages were committed to the flames, rejoining the silent atmosphere of the evening. Through this careful act of selection, she chose precisely what knowledge should be surrendered to the dark, and what single, precious window into court life should endure. The remaining volume, clothed in smooth calfskin, held the essence of her time near the crown, distilled into its most truthful and tranquil observations. As the fire softened to a calm, amber glow, a deep quiet rested over the room. The surviving words, guarded with quiet wisdom, remain to gently illuminate the past for all who listen in the quiet dark. As midnight settles over the grand royal apartments, a profound quiet steals through the tall corridor arches of St. James's Palace. The evening has drawn to its natural close, leaving behind the faint smell of cooling beeswax candles and the soft echoes of silk skirts brushing across polished oak floors. Down the long gallery, heavy velvet draperies soften the chill night wind from the courtyard outside, creating a gentle sanctuary of warmth and peace within the ancient brick walls. All across the royal household, the gentle rhythm of rest begins to take hold as servants quietly extinguish the remaining wall sconces, leaving only low shadows to dance along carved wainscoting. In the soft hush that follows the departure of the court, the daytime bustle dissolves into an atmosphere of quiet solitude, where time seems to slow down to the gentle ticking of a tall case clock in the corner. The stately palace, usually filled with the murmur of state affairs and courtly pleasantries, surrenders at last to the stillness of the night, inviting calm repose over all who dwell within its historic rooms. In her private bedchamber, a lady-in-waiting finds solace in the fading warmth of the late hour. During her service at St. James's Palace between 1727 and 1737, Henrietta Louisa Fermor, Countess of Pomfret, recorded her private court observations in bound rag paper ledgers, writing by the glow of a dying hearth fire after Queen Caroline's evening card assemblies ended. The gentle scratching of her goosequill pen against thick, fibrous paper creates a rhythmic, comforting sound in the quiet room. Her pages captured the subtle nuances of court life, not the grand political maneuvers recorded in official histories, but the quiet glances, soft conversations, and daily rituals of the Georgian court. The orange embers on the hearth cast a soft luminance across the heavy leather binding, illuminating each handwritten line with tender, nostalgic warmth. With every careful stroke of ink, she preserved the fleeting moments of her day, creating a quiet repository of memory before slipping into the restful embrace of sleep. The careful ledger became a quiet companion to her nocturnal thoughts, holding the secret reflections of a life spent in the close orbit of royalty. The fibrous rag paper, crafted with enduring care from linen remnants, absorbs dark ink with quiet permanence, preserving intimate observations of an era long past. As the ink dries to a soft charcoal sheen, the quiet ritual brings a soothing closure to the lingering thoughts of the day. Outside the tall chamber window, gentle moonlight filters through the night mist rising from the nearby park, casting long, serene silver ribbons across the rug. The final embers of the fireplace slowly settle into a pale bed of ash, radiating a faint, cozy warmth that fills the quiet room. The heavy ledger is closed with a soft, satisfying sigh of leather against wood, its confidential secrets safely bound within sturdy covers until another evening arrives. Breathing in the calm night air, a deep sense of tranquil ease settles over the bedchamber, encouraging mind and body to unwind completely. Surrounded by the timeless peace of the sleeping palace, one can rest deeply, wrapped in the quiet comfort of history, resting silently on the page. As the final embers of the hearth begin to glow with a soft and steady warmth, the grand reception halls of 18th-century London quiet into a gentle hush. The bustling energy of afternoon levees and evening assemblies gradually recedes, leaving behind the tranquil stillness of night. Outside, the night air rests heavy and cool over the sleeping city, while indoors, the soft flickering of candlelight casts long, calm shadows across polished mahogany floors and draped silk tapestries. For the women who moved through the inner circles of the royal court, these late-night hours offered a welcome sanctuary from the rigorous expectations of their public lives. The heavy velvet gowns were carefully loosened. The elaborate coiffures rested in ease, and the solemn weight of courtly protocol dissolved effortlessly into the peaceful calm of private chambers. In these unhurried moments of solitude, surrounded by the faint fragrance of lavender water and candle wax, ladies-in-waiting found the space to breathe deeply, reflect upon the day's encounters, and collect their thoughts in total serenity. The quiet house grows still, inviting a sense of profound rest as the darkness deepens. Among those who captured the subtle cadence of this era was Elizabeth Seymour Percy, a woman of deep grace and keen observation, whose domestic life mirrored the understated elegance of the Georgian court. While serving as Lady of the Bedchamber to Queen Charlotte between 1761 and 1770, Elizabeth Seymour Percy, Duchess of Northumberland, logged daily court etiquette and quiet reflections inside marble-papered manuscript ledgers at Northumberland House after the royal drawing rooms ended, within the privacy of her study, away from the watchful eyes of courtiers and diplomats. She dipped her feather quill into dark ink and traced the intricate details of palace life onto thick, hand-molded paper. Her entries were neither hurried nor theatrical. Instead, they flowed with a measured, rhythmic precision that documented the exact ordering of ceremonial processions, the subtle shifts in royal favor, and the small, human gestures that passed between the Queen and her closest attendants. The distinctive swirl of the marbled paper covers mirrored the layered complexity of court society. Yet within those pages, her hand remained steady and serene, recording history with a tranquil and objective eye. As the ink dried slowly upon the page, the act of writing became a meditative ritual that smoothed away the lingering tensions of the afternoon. Each stroke of the pen recorded not only the formal rules of precedence and posture, but also the gentle observations of a woman attuned to the quiet undercurrents of her world. She noted the soft rustle of silk skirts, the quiet murmur of conversation in the anterooms, and the peaceful moments shared when the royal family retired for the evening. The manuscript ledgers served as a quiet anchor, preserving memories of an extraordinary world in a form that was entirely intimate, serene, and calm. As night settled fully and softly over Northumberland House, the ledger was closed with a gentle, deliberate touch, its marbled covers shielding the neatly penned lines until the dawn of another day. The soft breath of the evening wind outside whispers a quiet goodnight, carrying away the remnants of the waking world and softly ushering in a deep, undisturbed, and restful sleep. As the grand architecture of Georgian London settled into the quiet stillness of night, the bustling rhythms of royal court life gradually gave way to a deep and restful calm. Within the private sanctuaries of London townhouses and suburban estates, the ladies who attended the royal family finally found time for quiet reflection. Heavy silk and velvet curtains were drawn against the cool evening air, muffling the faint sounds of distant carriages on cobblestones, and leaving only the soft, ambient hum of domestic silence. In these late, undisturbed hours, long after the formal demands of protocol and ceremony were fulfilled, a few observant women turned to the soothing comfort of the written word. They unclasped small, carefully preserved volumes and dipped their quills into dark ink, eager to transform the fleeting moments of courtly life into lasting, gentle memories. This quiet act of record-keeping was not born of ambition, but of a simple, comforting desire to trace the gentle contour of their daily lives in the restful stillness before sleep. Among those who found deep solace in nocturnal writing was one of the most distinguished figures of the royal household. While serving as Lady of the Bedchamber to Queen Charlotte between 1761 and 1784, Elizabeth Gunning, Duchess of Argyll, recorded her private court recollections inside a sheepskin-bound pocketbook, writing by the light of a brass oil lamp in her bedchamber at Argyll House. The soft, golden flame of the brass lamp cast long, tranquil shadows across the polished furnishings, illuminating the fine, supple texture of the sheepskin cover as her hand moved rhythmically across the pages. In those serene moments of late-night solitude, she carefully preserved the subtle realities of life within the royal household, capturing the soft-spoken conversations, court etiquette, and gentle domestic routines that filled the palace corridors. The modest pocketbook served as a faithful, silent companion through decades of dedicated court service, guarding her private observations within its smooth parchment leaves. Each rhythmic stroke of ink eased the day's quiet burdens, settling her mind as the flame flickered softly in the hush of midnight. In another peaceful quarter of the city, a remarkably similar midnight habit offered quiet clarity and rest at the close of long days. Between 1766 and 1791, Lady Mary Coke maintained private daily journals in small red leather volumes, detailing her quiet late-night hours in her Notting Hill dressing room after playing ombre with Princess Amelia by the warm light of beeswax candles. Surrounded by the familiar comforts of her dressing room, with the delicate fragrance of melting beeswax resting in the calm air, she reflected on the gentle pastimes of the aristocracy. Her meticulous entries recorded the quiet turn of cards, the tranquil banter shared over card tables, and the gradual transition from public elegance to private rest. The rich red leather bindings of her journals preserved a quarter century of personal history, providing a structured, reassuring container for her nightly thoughts. As the soft glow of the tapers illuminated the quiet room, writing became a meditative bridge leading gently into sleep. As twilight gently settled over the sweeping lawns of the English countryside, the frantic pace of royal life receded into a soft and tranquil hush. Away from the formal corridors of London and the watchful, expectant eyes of the royal court, the quiet country manors offered a serene sanctuary where time seemed to slow to a peaceful, steady rhythm. The cool evening air carried the faint, sweet scent of damp earth, meadow grasses, and late summer blossoms, floating gently through open sash windows as the stars began their quiet, luminous assembly across the darkening sky. For the women who navigated the intricate expectations of Georgian courtly life, these solitary hours brought a deeply welcome refuge from the day's lingering duties. The soft rustle of heavy silk gowns gave way to comfortable cotton robes, and the hushed silence of the grand house invited a gentle turning inward, where private thoughts could unspool without pretense, judgment, or performance. In the stillness of dusk, the heavy velvet drapes absorbed the ambient sounds of the world outside, creating a calm sanctuary wrapped in soft shadows and quiet memory. It was within such serene isolation that private truths found their way onto paper, capturing the delicate nuances of an era through patient, unhurried strokes of dark ink. Beginning in 1770, court insider Lady Susan Fox Strangways recorded her private observations of royal society inside a daily journal stored within a mahogany bureau at Melbury House, writing by the soft glow of a tallow candle as the surrounding Dorset estate grew still. The warm, flickering light illuminated the smooth, polished grain of the desk and the creamy parchment leaves, casting long, peaceful shadows across the quiet chamber, while the distant woodlands rested beneath the moon's gentle pale glow. Each line set down by her patient hand was a quiet repository of human experience, detailing subtle social interactions, private conversations, and the subtle shifts of royal favor that standard history books so often overlooked. The soft, repetitive scratching of the feather quill against paper was the only sound in the room, creating a soothing, hypnotic rhythm that mirrored the slow rise and fall of nighttime breathing throughout the peaceful estate. These secret diaries were never intended for noisy assembly or public display, but rather served as faithful, silent companions to long, reflective evenings. Kept safely under lock and key in dark-grained wooden drawers, the handwritten pages preserved the soft cadence of voices now lost to time, anchoring fragile memories against the slow, inevitable drift of passing years. In the quiet darkness of the rural retreat, the simple act of writing became a form of gentle meditation, a peaceful way to untangle the complexities of courtly etiquette and find inner stillness within oneself. As the tallow candle burned low, and its soft flame flickered into a tiny bead of warm golden light, the journal was carefully closed and returned to its dark wooden recess, safe within the heart of the sleeping manor. Outside, the night breeze brushed through the ancient Dorset oaks, whispering softly to the silent fields and guiding the mind toward restful slumber, deep peace, and the timeless comfort of night. As twilight gently lowers its veil over the serene grounds of Kew, the soft whispering of the wind through the surrounding botanical gardens brings a quiet stillness to the royal estate. In the late hours of the evening, the bustling demands of court life yield to a peaceful calm, and the long, polished corridors of the palace fall into a deep and soothing silence. A soft, golden warmth radiates from the beeswax candles burning steadily in their glass lanterns, casting long, gentle shadows across the muted tapestries and paneled walls. Outside, the Thames glides by with an unhurried grace, reflecting the dim silver light of the moon as it rises above the dark silhouettes of ancient oaks and elms. Within these historic rooms, away from the watchful eyes of society and the ceremonial formality of the day, a lady-in-waiting finds her true sanctuary in the quiet dusk. It is a time for quiet reflection, when the mind settles like dust in a sunbeam, lingering over the small, gentle details of a day spent in service, far removed from the clamor of political intrigue or the heavy weight of royal etiquette. Seated at a comfortable wooden desk near a tall window, Court Lady Mary Hamilton prepares for her nightly ritual of recording the day's subtle impressions and quiet conversations. During her service at Kew Palace in 1783, Court Lady Mary Hamilton secured her private daily observations inside a small rosewood writing slope lined with green baize, unlocking its brass escutcheon using a silver key worn around her neck on a blue ribbon. The tactile sensation of the smooth, dark wood under her fingers and the soft, rich texture of the emerald fabric provided a comforting sense of order and personal sanctuary. Resting within this elegant, portable desk, her handwritten leaves of paper held honest reflections on literature, philosophy, and the gentle humor found in everyday domestic moments. As she dips her quill into the dark ink, the soft, rhythmic scratching of pen against paper creates a soothing cadence in the quiet room. Each entry was written not for fame or public scrutiny, but as an intimate dialogue with her own thoughts, capturing fleeting moments of beauty and calm before they drifted away into the stillness of memory. With the entry complete, she allows the ink to dry thoroughly under the soft glow of the candle, breathing in the quiet contentment that accompanies a mind at rest. The process of writing serves as a gentle winding down of the spirit, untangling the lingering tensions of the afternoon and preparing the soul for sleep. Closing the lid of the writing slope, she locks the brass escutcheon once more, feeling the silver key settle comfortably against her chest as a reassuring weight of privacy and peace. Outside, the night deepens over the gardens of Kew, as a cool river breeze rustles gently through the high treetops and lulls the estate into slumber. The candlelight is extinguished, leaving only the soft glow of dying embers in the hearth to bathe the room in a gentle, tranquil warmth. As she drifts toward rest, the quiet assurance of her recorded words remains safely tucked away, preserving a timeless slice of peace amidst the swirling tides of history. As twilight fell across the sweeping lawns of Windsor, a quiet stillness settled over the royal apartments, softening the grand rhythms of the court into a slow, comforting hush. The evening hours brought a welcome retreat from formal ceremony, allowing a gentle peace to fill the private chambers of the Queen's Lodge. Here, away from the watchful eyes of state affairs, intimate conversations lingered over warm teacups, while the firelight danced softly against tall curtained windows. It was during these tranquil moments in 1785, while residing at the Queen's Lodge at Windsor Castle, that court favorite Mary Delany recorded her daily observations in private manuscript volumes, slipping pressed botanical petals between the pages of her leather diary after taking evening tea with Queen Charlotte. These delicate blossoms, preserved amidst careful hand-drawn lines, held the quiet memory of afternoon walks in the royal gardens and the calming perfume of summer flora. Each page turned with a soft whisper of vellum, capturing not the grand intrigue of dynamic politics, but the quiet, rhythmic beauty of everyday life within the palace walls. As night deepened further, and the heavy wooden doors throughout the corridors were closed against the nocturnal chill, the lodge descended into an even profounder silence. The flickering tapers burned low in their brass sconces, casting long, peaceful shadows across the floorboards. The demands of royal service, with all its precise etiquette and tedious routines, gradually surrendered to the restorative quiet of the sleeping household. Gentle footsteps echoed briefly down carpeted halls before fading entirely into the night, leaving only the steady ticking of grandfather clocks and the occasional crackle of dying embers to mark the passage of time. In these sacred late hours, when the rest of the world slept, the ladies in waiting found a cherished space of personal reflection, a time to shed the rigid formality of their public roles and gather their quietest thoughts before the hearth. In her quiet midnight journal entries written at the Queen's Lodge at Windsor Castle between 1786 and 1791, Frances Burney described unpinning her heavy hair by warm hearth fire after her late-night court duties ended, dipping a goose quill into dark iron gall ink while the palace grew still. The scratch of the nib upon paper echoed softly in the quiet room, recording the nuanced details of courtly life, gentle humor, and the unspoken fatigue of long hours spent standing in attendance. As the dark ink dried upon the page, it preserved a rare, intimate glimpse into the mind of a gifted writer, navigating the structured world of Georgian royalty, with her loosened hair falling across her shoulders and the comforting warmth of the hearth glowing softly beside her. The midnight hour became a sanctuary of creative freedom. These silent, private records, carefully kept in bound volumes and hidden within deep wooden writing desks, created an enduring archive of calm reflection amidst the structured discipline of court life. The delicate, pressed petals left behind by Mary Delany and the thoughtful ink strokes of Frances Burney remain as quiet testaments to moments of peace reclaimed at the day's end. As the soft glow of the firelight dims into soft, glowing coals, the memory of those quiet Windsor nights invites a deep, soothing rest, carrying the listener gently into a peaceful, unbroken sleep. As the quiet mantle of night settled over the royal residences of late 18th century London, the bustling corridors of state fell into a restful and enduring hush. Within the heavy stone walls of St. James's Palace, the faint, rhythmic ticking of long-case clocks and the steady, gentle breaths of resting attendants replaced the daytime rustle of heavy silk gowns and ceremonial chatter. For those women who served at court, the final hours of the evening offered a rare and precious sanctuary of stillness, away from the watchful eyes of royalty and the rigorous demands of courtly etiquette. The ladies-in-waiting and court officials withdrew to their private, comfortably appointed apartments. In these small, firelit chambers, illuminated only by the soft, amber glow of dying hearth embers, the women turned to their private journals to record the fleeting observations, quiet musings, and subtle details of another day passed in service to the crown. The atmosphere was one of serene reflection, where the soft, repetitive scratching of a goose quill across heavy paper became a calming end-of-day ritual, marking the peaceful transition from public duty to personal repose. Among these dedicated diarists was Charlotte Papendick, whose position in the royal household afforded her a unique perspective on the intimate domestic rhythm of the court. Sitting at her polished mahogany desk as the midnight hour approached, she engaged in the quiet practice of chronicling the days with patient and delicate care. Assistant keeper Charlotte Papendick recorded in her court memoirs how she tucked dried sprigs of lavender between the pages of her private leather ledgers to scent the paper and obscure the lingering odor of tallow candles burned during late-night writing at St. James's Palace in 1788. The tallow candles, though practical and necessary for illuminating the late hours, left behind a heavy, smoky trace in the cool night air. By embedding small, purple sprigs of dried summer flora between the bound leaves, the paper absorbed a delicate herbal perfume that rose soft and sweet whenever the volumes were reopened. This gentle touch converted her meticulous record-keeping into a sensory solace, transforming the quiet room into a sanctuary of subtle elegance and soothing aroma. The practice of pressing dried herbs and fragrant botanicals between heavy leather covers was both practical and deeply comforting, anchoring the writer to memories of sunlit summer gardens during long, shadowy evenings of indoor labor. As Charlotte smoothed the delicate lavender blossoms against the creamy, hand-molded paper, the subtle, calming fragrance drifted slowly through the quiet chamber, resting the weary mind after long hours of courtly service and ceremony. Closing the leather ledger with a soft, satisfying thud, she allowed the peaceful stillness of the ancient palace night to wrap around her like a warm, comforting quilt. Outside the tall sash windows, the gentle night breeze whispered softly through the leaves of the courtyard trees, while inside, the last glowing embers faded peacefully into dark, restful shadows. Step by step, the quiet routines of the evening drew to a natural close, leaving only the soft cadence of stillness. The handwritten pages, resting safe within their fragrant binding, held a quiet record of an era gone by, waiting silently in the sleeping palace until the first soft, golden light of dawn. As the gold and amber hues of autumn settled over the rolling countryside of Oxfordshire, a quiet stillness enveloped the grounds of Nottingham-Courtenay. The estate offered a welcoming refuge, far removed from the formal demands, bright ceremonial lights, and continuous murmurs of the royal court in London. Outside the tall, arched windows, a soft mist rose gently from the surface of the River Thames, wrapping the woodland trails and slumbering gardens in a serene veil of grey and indigo. Within the grand manor house, the hurried pace of daily affairs gradually dissolved into the calm, unhurried rhythm of evening. Corridors that had echoed with footsteps throughout the day grew peaceful and dim, illuminated only by the faint, warm glow of receding fires. It was an hour when the world outside seemed to slow down completely, inviting a deep and comforting sense of rest to settle over every hall and quiet room. Within the solitary warmth of her private bedchamber, Court Lady Mary Danby Harcourt found a quiet sanctuary to record the unvarnished truths of her daily life. In the autumn of 1788, during King George III's retreat at Nottingham-Courtenay, Court Lady Mary Danby Harcourt kept a secret diary in a dark morocco-bound notebook, writing by the soft flame of a sperm whale oil lamp, while listening to the slow ticking of parlor clocks. The dark leather cover felt smooth and cool beneath her touch, providing a sense of grounding permanence amidst the shifting tides of courtly fortune. Upon the smooth paper, her hand moved with measured grace, turning fleeting moments into permanent memories. Every stroke of the pen served as a quiet tether, anchoring her thoughts in a space entirely her own. The atmosphere inside her chamber was filled with a tender, rhythmic stillness that eased the mind. The sperm whale oil lamp cast a soft, steady golden halo across the dark wood of her writing desk, softening the corners of the room into gentle shadows. Outside her door, the distant, deliberate pendulum of a parlor clock swung with reliable cadence, its steady ticking providing a hypnotic soundtrack to the quiet night. This slow acoustic pulse harmonized with the faint rustle of turning pages and the gentle sigh of the autumn wind beyond the glass. The air smelled softly of drying iron gall ink and beeswax, creating a familiar, soothing environment that encouraged peaceful reflection. Here, away from public duty, the simple act of writing allowed all the subtle stresses of the day to drift away like smoke into the quiet air. As the late hours lengthened towards midnight, the gentle discipline of journaling brought a profound sense of inner clarity. These confidential pages held no grand ambition, but rather the quiet beauty of ordinary observations, the changing color of the oak leaves, a shared smile in a quiet hallway, or the calm dignity of quiet companionship. Finishing her final entry for the evening, Mary paused to let the ink dry in the warm, ambient light of the lamp. She closed the dark morocco binding with tender care, placing the small volume safely in its private drawer until the next twilight. With a lightened heart and a quieted spirit, she listened once more to the reassuring tick of the clock before resting her head upon the soft pillows, surrendering completely to the deep, restorative calm of the night. As the soft twilight of the late Georgian era settled over the elegant townhouses and royal apartments of London, a tranquil silence descended upon the grand rooms that had echoed all day with polite conversation and soft footsteps. In the quiet hours, when courtly duties had ended and formal evening gatherings drew to a peaceful close, the ladies of the realm found a comforting sanctuary within their private chambers. Here, illuminated only by the warm, steady flicker of candlelight and the fading coals of evening fires, they gathered their thoughts away from the observant eyes of public life. The gentle scratching of a quill against smooth paper became a rhythmic lullaby, marking the slow transition from the bustling ceremonies of daylight to the stillness of midnight. Soft linen gowns, muted shadows, and the gentle ticking of a mantel clock accompanied these serene moments of solitude. In this quiet refuge, personal reflections were gently preserved, capturing the subtle observations, quiet thoughts, and enduring grace of women navigating the intricate social tapestry of the Georgian court. In the 1790s, court socialite Lady Anne Lindsay transcribed her quiet midnight thoughts into leather-bound memorandum books, locking them away inside a brass-bound mahogany writing desk. After the drawing room, hearth fires were banked for the night. The soft, familiar click of the brass key turning in the lock signaled a gentle end to the day's obligations, sealing her intimate reflections into the warm, polished wood, until the morning sun would once again filter through the heavy silk drapes. In those tranquil midnight hours, the atmosphere inside the residence grew still, enveloped by the faint scent of beeswax, old parchment, and dried lavender. Writing by candlelight permitted a rare and precious space for unhurried contemplative thought, where every delicate stroke of the pen recorded the passing moments of court life with peaceful clarity. Through the quiet stillness, the simple act of putting pen to page offered a soothing respite from the formal decorum of the day. Each bound book became a quiet container of memory, resting securely in the darkness of the desk, while the household slept peacefully under the calm night sky. In a similar spirit of quiet reflection, while serving as Lady of the Bedchamber to Queen Charlotte between 1794 and 1818, Jane Stanhope, Countess of Harrington, logged her quiet daily observations inside marbled paper manuscript books, writing beside a soft hearth fire in her dressing room at Harrington House, within the private warmth of her personal sanctuary, far removed from the grand expectations of the court. The Countess sat in comfortable solitude as the gentle firelight danced softly across the hand-marbled covers of her journals. The faint crackle of the hearth fire provided a soothing backdrop to her late-night writing, casting long, peaceful shadows across the dressing table, while she carefully recorded the subtle rhythms of royal service and domestic life. These detailed manuscript books served not for public display, but as a comforting nightly ritual of quiet self-expression, allowing her to process the subtle nuances of her long tenure near the Queen before finally retiring to rest. As the fire gradually died down to soft, glowing embers, the dark ink dried on the final page of the evening, leaving her thoughts neatly bound and resting in the silent embrace of the night. As the quiet mantle of night settles across the grand brick arcades and tranquil courtyards of the royal residence, the long corridors grow still, echoing only with the rhythmic tick of tall mahogany pendulum clocks. The formal duties of the day gracefully draw to close, allowing the busy hum of courtly chatter to fade into the soft stillness of the late hours. Attendants move softly through the passages, extinguishing the wall sconces until only a gentle, amber warmth remains in the private quarters. Gowns of lustrous silk are laid carefully aside, replaced by light linen robes that whisper softly against polished floorboards. Outside the multi-paned windows, a cool night breeze moves through the ancient trees of the parklands before drifting into the dark countryside. Within the bedchambers, a deep sense of serenity settles over the household. The air carries a faint scent of drying lavender and wood smoke from the fading hearths, inviting a quiet pause after the structured ceremony of royal life. It is during these unhurried moments that the mind finds time to gently unwind and process the subtle impressions of the day. In 1795, while serving as woman of the bedchamber to Queen Charlotte at Hampton Court Palace, Lady Albinia Cumberland recorded her daily court thoughts inside a dark green morocco pocketbook, writing by the soft glow of a bedside taper candle after evening prayers concluded. For a gentlewoman residing within the court, this solitary evening ritual provided a peaceful sanctuary, a quiet realm where private observations could be preserved away from the public gaze. Sitting at a modest writing table crafted of warm walnut, she held a fine goose quill between her fingers, dipping its tip into black iron gall ink with deliberate, calming precision. The soft scratching of the nib upon smooth paper sounded like a gentle lullaby, measuring out thoughts of shared conversations, strolls through the gardens, and the quiet dignity of her royal mistress. There was no haste in her hand, only the comforting rhythm of reflection as she recorded the passing moments of her life. Each turn of the page seemed to offer a gentle release from daily expectations, settling her spirit into deep tranquility as night deepened around the palace. As the small candle flame casts soft shadows across the bedchamber walls, the physical journal itself becomes a tangible anchor of peace. The dark green leather cover, smooth and cool to the touch, holds within its bound leaves the quiet memories of seasons gone by, locked safely away from curious eyes. To write so privately late at night was to create a gentle bridge between the structured world of Georgian court etiquette and the quiet, uncluttered depths of one's own mind. With the ink now dry upon the final line, the pocketbook is carefully closed, its silk ribbon marker placed neatly between the pages to await another quiet evening. The taper candle is gently snuffed, leaving behind a fine thread of pale smoke that curls upward before vanishing into the cozy dark. Resting her head against soft feather pillows, the lady lets out a slow breath, allowing the peaceful silence of the historic palace to wrap around her like a warm blanket. In this quiet stillness, as the night cradles the sleeping court, mind and body drift effortlessly toward deep, restful sleep. As night deepened over London toward the close of the 18th century, Carlton House slowly surrendered to a soothing stillness. Within the grand neoclassical corridors, where the soft glow of dying embers cast long shadows against polished mahogany and silk draperies, the bustling pace of royal life yielded to rest. For ladies of the bedchamber and governesses, whose days were consumed by protocol and courtly obligations, late evening offered a cherished interval of peaceful solitude. In these silent hours, when heavy gowns were set aside and final candles were snuffed in the hallways, many ladies turned to the restorative comfort of private journaling. Holding quills over smooth leaves, they found in the blank page a serene space to record the quiet rhythms of the day, untangling household duties subtle observations, and restful personal thoughts before drifting into sleep. Among these dedicated diarists was Martha Bruce, Countess of Elgin, whose steady hand and soothing presence guided the royal nursery through delicate times. In 1799, while serving as royal governess and lady-in-waiting at Carlton House, Martha Bruce, Countess of Elgin, logged her daily duties inside marbled paper notebooks, writing late at night after singing soft lullabies beside Princess Charlotte's nursery hearth. The nursery, warm with the scent of beeswax candles and wood smoke, provided a peaceful retreat from the formal demands of the court. Sitting beside the glowing hearth, Lady Elgin would carefully dip her quill into dark ink, filling swirl-patterned pages with thoughtful accounts of the young princess's lessons, health, and quiet routines. The rhythmic sound of her pen moving across paper echoed the gentle breathing of the sleeping child nearby, creating an atmosphere of deep tranquility and domestic solace. These marbled paper notebooks served not merely as administrative logs, but as sanctuaries of order and devotion within the royal household. Pages crafted with intricate patterns of indigo, crimson, and gold swirls held meticulous records of daily schedules, medicinal teas, quiet strolls through palace gardens, and the soft melodies chosen to lull a spirited child into peaceful dreams. By capturing the subtle details of nursery life, evening prayers, gentle remedies for minor ailments, and fleeting moments of joy, Lady Elgin transformed routine court duties into a gentle art of mindful caretaking. Her evening writing ritual allowed the mind to slow down and process the weight of royal responsibility, turning potential anxieties into structured, peaceful prose that honored both her duty to the crown and her genuine warmth for the young heiress. Across the quiet suites of Georgian mansions and royal residences, similar scenes of tranquil reflection unfolded every night as quills swept quietly over paper. The act of keeping a secret diary was less about courting drama than about gathering one's thoughts in the soft embrace of twilight. As ink slowly dried on the smooth pages, ladies-in-waiting would carefully fold their letters, close their marbled journals, and set them gently inside small velvet-lined wooden desks. The lingering warmth of the hearth and the steady ticking of a tall case clock accompanied these final moments before rest, offering a comforting reminder of constancy and quiet grace. With their daily accounts settled and their minds at ease, they would extinguish the remaining bedside candle, letting the soft darkness wrap around them as sleep descended gently over the peaceful house. As the grand halls of the Georgian court grow quiet and the lingering whispers of formal gatherings dissolve into the stillness of late evening, a restful calm settles over grand country estates and suburban retreats. In these private, unhurried hours, away from watchful eyes, the women who moved through the high circles of royal society found a sanctuary for quiet reflection. The daily rhythm of court life, with its ornate rituals and intricate social dances, gave way to the gentle scratch of a quill across heavy paper. Here, in the soft illumination of midnight rooms, memories were gently gathered and preserved. The weight of formal gowns and strict expectations were set aside in favor of private honesty, transforming fleeting moments of courtly history into quiet personal narratives that rested in the dark. Within the quiet sanctuary of Chiswick House, surrounded by sleeping gardens and dark lawns, Lady Harriet Cavendish sought the soothing refuge of her private desk. Between 1802 and 1809, Georgian court insider Lady Harriet Cavendish transcribed her daily observations of royal society into red leather memorandum books, writing by the light of a shaded desk lamp at Chiswick House while the surrounding estate slept. The soft glow of the lamp cast tranquil shadows across the room, illuminating pages that captured the nuances of conversation, character, and quiet humor from the day gone by. Each entry was set down with thoughtful care, transforming the bustle of high society into a peaceful inventory of human nature. As the cool night breeze moved through the trees, writing became a rhythmic, calming ritual, anchoring her thoughts before she finally turned out the lamp and surrendered to rest. In a similar spirit of quiet contemplation in Blackheath, the night hours brought a deep and peaceful solitude to Montague House. While serving as Lady of the Bedchamber at Montague House in Blackheath in 1808, Lady Charlotte Lindsay recorded her private observations of court life in small pocketbooks stitched with silk thread, writing by the warm light of an oil-burning Argand lamp as night watchmen called the hours outside. The steady voice of the watchman calling the hours through the dark air merged seamlessly with the soft hum of the oil lamp, creating a comforting atmosphere. Her delicate pocketbooks, bound by hand with fine silk, held the quiet truth of her daily experiences, capturing the human warmth underlying rigid royal duty. Each carefully formed letter reflected the soothing pace of a mind turning inward, finding comfort in recording the world around her before closing the covers until morning. These private volumes, bound in leather and silk, stood as quiet guardians of history, created not for grand public display, but for the tranquil resolution of the evening. Through the long hours of the Georgian night, as candles flickered low and glowing oil lamps burned down to soft embers, the ladies in waiting found peace in setting down their thoughts. Their written words allowed the chatter and demands of the courtly day to gently drift away, replaced by the profound silence of sleeping estates and the slow rhythm of the night as the final pages were gently folded shut and lamps extinguished. A stillness enveloped both room and mind, inviting a deep and undisturbed sleep under the quiet, endless starlight. As night deepened over the grand brick facades of London's royal residences, the bustling cadence of courtly life softened into a soothing, meditative hush. The long galleries, where high-born women spent their days navigating the refined etiquettes and quiet obligations of the Georgian court, gradually grew still beneath the darkening sky. Tall wax candles burned down to slender nubs within polished sconces, casting warm amber halos across paneled walls and tapestried alcoves. For the ladies in waiting, the end of the evening brought a welcome release from public observation, a quiet hour to retreat into the privacy of their bedchambers, loosen their fine silks, and reflect upon the gentle passage of time. In these secluded spaces, away from the watchful eyes of courtiers, keeping a diary became a soothing sanctuary. Here, ink met paper to capture the quiet texture of lived moments, preserving the faint whisper of skirts, the gentle glow of hearth embers, and the timeless stillness that settles over a sleeping house. This serene ritual was shared by many who served within the historic walls, finding comfort in the quiet transcription of their nighttime thoughts. While serving at Kensington Palace in 1810, Lady Charlotte Barry concealed her small calfskin pocketbooks beneath velvet needlework frames in her bedchamber, carefully documenting the slow ticking of long-case clocks and distant harp melodies drifting down dormant corridors. Her tiny calfskin volumes were intimate repositories of quiet mindfulness, hidden beneath the decorative embroidery of her daily needlework, so that her innermost reflections remained safe and undisturbed. Through her soft, measured prose, the palace was revealed not as a stage of high drama, but as an ancient vessel of soft sounds, the steady, rhythmic pendulum of grand clocks echoing through quiet antechambers, and the delicate, lingering vibration of stringed music floating down dormant passageways before dissolving into the night. These simple observations captured a world slowed down to the pace of a steady breath, turning nocturnal solitude into a restful landscape of memory. Now, as centuries have smoothed away the fleeting concerns of those long ago days, the handwritten words of these quiet chroniclers remain like gentle echoes in a quiet room. Their secret volumes, once tucked away behind silk linings and carved wood, offer a peaceful bridge across time, inviting us to rest in the same serene quiet that sheltered them so long ago. The rustle of turning pages fades into the gentle rhythm of the night, leaving behind only a deep sense of stillness. Outside the high arched windows, the cool evening breeze moves softly through ancient garden trees, rustling the green leaves with a steady, lulling sound that mirrors the easy rhythm of restful sleep. There is nothing left to record, no more entries to complete, and no remaining secrets to guard. The goose-quill pens rest peacefully beside the brass inkwells, while the final pages settle smoothly into place. As the last lingering note of music dissolves into the quiet darkness, and the heavy pendulum keeps its slow, unhurried pace, the mind naturally yields to total repose. Let the steady warmth of the hearth and the timeless tranquility of these gentle memories carry you smoothly into quiet rest, wrapped in the deep velvet darkness and undisturbed calm of night.